Now, who is this video for? This video is for anybody who wants to make more friends. Very simple. And especially for you introverts out there, because as you'll learn in this video, the key to networking and making friends is not speaking, but something else. So, if you're this type of person, then get your popcorn, because we're about to go deep dive into how to make friends. And actually, I say deep dive, but honestly, I want to make it very simple for you. So I'm going to go into some general tips as well as some detailed tips that I've gotten over the years. Now, first of all, I'm guessing you want qualifications for me, okay? If you're looking for a certificate, I do not have one. I do not have, there's no making friends school, right? That does not exist, no. But in my cohort, my year, out of hundreds of students, I was voted by everybody most likely to be a billionaire. And I hope that's true, first of all. But second of all, I think I got this not because of, my grades or my public speaking abilities. That's great, okay? I think, personally, it's A, my fashion, but B, more importantly, my networking skills. I've spoken to everybody in my year. Everybody. Think about it. Hundreds of people. I've spoken to every single one of them. At least one conversation. And I've been great friends with a great percentage of these people. I'm enemies with nearly nobody. And it's all because of my networking. But if I'm honest with you, I'm not an extroverted person by any means. I would consider myself, in fact, an ambivert. Meaning, I am both introverted and extroverted. This is most people. So, if you are most people, like me, then that should show you that it's actually very easy to be able to be good at networking and start making friends. First of all, let's go into a misconception. When you're listening to this video, you're probably thinking, okay, so what should I say to people in order to network? What should I say? That's the wrong mindset. The correct mindset, as I'm about to tell you, is not what I should say, but how I should listen. Now I know, when you hear listening, everybody tells you this, oh, listen in class, listen. But listen to me. This is going to be the most important advice you'll ever receive in this particular area of making friends. There is one principle, okay? I'm not going to BS you. There is one principle that this entire video is based around. If you are able to follow this principle, you can skip the rest of the video. Just click off. If you've mastered this, skip the rest of the video, because I want you to start making friends because you have the innate ability to do so. What is this one principle? Have a genuine interest in people. Now, if you're in the circuit of this networking type stuff, right, you've probably read the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. This is the first principle in that book. And originally, I learned this principle through that book as well. And there's a reason it's the first principle. Because personally, I think that if you master this, everything else just comes naturally. Just this one thing, and everything else comes. What does this mean? It means not being egotistical. Not having a conversation with somebody just to talk to them about your beliefs, right? Experiences you have, not just that. Your objective when you're conversing with somebody is to learn about them. This is your goal. If you constantly have this goal in mind for anybody, you're going to be extremely successful in networking. This one simple principle. Now, this is actually harder to achieve than you think. You might be thinking, oh, that's easy. No, it's not. Because honestly, people are boring. And sometimes you just feel like talking about your feelings and your beliefs because as humans, we have an ego. And that's not bad. Having an ego is not bad. It gives you ambition, it gives you the drive to do stuff. But we have to train ourselves to listen to what other people say. I think a good way to start out is just to think about this notion. You know everything about yourself. But you don't know anything about the other person. So what use is it if you just keep talking about yourself? You already know all about yourself. You know everything. You're an expert about yourself already. So why are you talking about it to the other person? You're just wasting time. You're repeating stuff that you already know. Imagine in class, if a teacher only teaches a class again, like one class, copy and paste again and again and again. That'd be extremely boring. Same thing here. You want to learn something new. Have a learning mindset. So that's the key to this principle. If you're able to master this, skip the rest of the video. It's fine. You got it. You got it. But I'm now going to go into some more details on this. And I think that I'm going to separate this into two parts. How to listen and how to speak. Personally, I think the listening part is more important. Especially because I've known a lot of people, right? This is a good chunk of people. Even introverts, even the people you may consider introverts, right? These people, if you ask them about something that's interesting, that they like, okay, by interesting, that's always relative to the person. Because we are interested in different things. A guy interested in Pokemon cards may not be interested in computers. A guy interested in computers may not really like Pokemon cards. So, listening is more important. I've had many experiences where I only spoke once. Hello, and then I asked them a question, right? Something very simple, like, how was your day? And then they could go on for like 15 minutes, and I just sit there. And because I have this skill down, they network for me, basically. And even if you'd be surprised. You think, oh, I'm not speaking, this is not great. Wrong. In fact, I'd say the less you speak in a conversation, one-to-one, the better for networking. Again, everybody has an ego. Everybody. Especially the other person. If you're able to stroke that ego by genuinely being interested in them and listening to them and showing that you're listening to them, you're gonna go miles. You're gonna go miles with networking. So listen. Always listen. Now, how do you listen? Good question. This is more detailed part. Okay, you can go to the speaking part if you want, but I think this is very, very important. So, eye contact. Everybody talks about eye contact in public speaking, but rarely in sometimes in networking. But I'm going to go more in depth on this. Now, personally, I think the best place to look at, because I know this is an issue, right? Where do I look? Don't look into their eyes. Unless, in some circumstances, if you know what I mean. But normally, it's just, basic, platonic, look at the bridge of their nose. I know what you're saying, but aren't you supposed to look into their eyes? Yeah, but it's kind of weird, isn't it? Think about it. It's weird. It's really weird, because their eyes move around and your eyes move around with them. It's like you're a predator hunting for your prey. But if you look at the bridge of their nose, right, what it seems like is you're maintaining good eye contact without being weird. So, bridge of the nose, that's very nice. Alright, what else? Make sure, because some people will tell you, okay, look at them 100% of the time, stare at them. Or 70 to 30, right? 70% of the time, that's something I hear a lot. 70% of the time, look at them. 30% of the time, look away. Or like, look away when they're looking away. There's a lot of different rules, and you can get really mixed up in them. There's no correct answer here. What I'll say is whatever is comfortable for both of you. And you'll feel it. Because I think the special thing about humans that nobody talks about in things like networking and whatnot, and even like public speaking, we have an innate connection with each other. I know this sounds kind of wishy-washy, but we have an innate connection with each other that you'll intrinsically feel what the other person feels if you're truly listening to them. Again, genuine interest in the person, right? If you're truly listening, you'll feel it. And then there's this comfortable degree of eye contact with somebody. For instance, when I'm walking, right? When I'm walking next to somebody and we're having a conversation, sometimes we won't even look at each other at all. Because if you look at each other, it's kind of awkward. It depends on the person you're talking to, okay? Cater to them. Be comfortable. That's eye contact. Eye contact is very important here. Next, we'll talk about how do you seem like you're constantly listening, and that's with nodding. Now, I have a bone to pick with this one. Okay, this is something I'm very passionate about. If you don't nod, you seem cold. If you don't. But then, when people hear, it's cold if you don't nod. Oh, then I'm gonna nod the whole way. Then you just look like an idiot. Because you're just nod. Right? You want them to notice you're nodding, is the thing. If you keep nodding again and again and again and again and again, then what's gonna happen is, right, I heard a TED Talk where if you like play a buzz in the background for like 15 minutes, eventually people will ignore the buzz. They won't hear the buzz anymore. They won't notice it anymore because it's become part of the environment. If you keep nodding, it's going to become part of your environment. With the nodding, what are you doing? You're showing agreement. You're showing you're listening. But if you keep doing it, that annuls the whole effect. And same, if you're nodding too big, that's even worse, I'd say. Because if you're nodding too big, like going down, up, like you're hitting your head on the rock, right? Then it's going to seem exaggerated. It's going to seem fake. Never seem fake in networking. Okay? This is very, very important. Something I haven't emphasized. Genuine interest. No fake interest. Fake interest is worse than no interest. Believe me. Genuine interest. Be genuinely interested. Because, again, we have an innate connection with each other. Sorry. And people can notice when your interest is fake. So, make sure it's not fake. It has to be real. And if you do it too exaggerated, like your nod, people are going to notice. So what do? I don't nod every second. I nod every time it comes to an important point. When they say something important, and again, you can instinctively feel that, right? It's a conclusion of a sentence. You nod. But you don't nod large. I nod small. Just large enough to be noticeable. That's my principle. Just large enough to be noticeable, that they notice. But it's small. It's a very small nod. And the more modest the nod, the better, I'd say. And other than that, this is another small point, but I'd say smile. But don't smile too big. If you smile too big and you smile the whole time, it's going to seem fake. And avoid being fake. Don't be the banker. Don't be like the person don't be the salesperson who has a huge smile on their face. I know there's a lot of old books, such as How to Win Friends and Influence People, that indeed say smile constantly, but I wouldn't. Be a straight shooter. A straight shooter is, this was in a book by a famous FBI negotiator. I forgot his name. It's like Chris something. But be a straight shooter. Be honest. Show that you're honest. Okay? So I'd have a constant slight smile mode on my face just to show that I'm not like a sad person, or a neutral look if that's more comfortable for you. Right? Don't seem sad. No, don't do that. Okay, even if you are, just don't. I know it's like slightly fake, but that's the consequence of seeming sad is much worse than seeming fake, as bad as that is. Be honest. Okay? When it comes to a sad part, then seem sad, right? When they talk about something sad, somebody passing away, then seem sad or neutral. And if they're talking about something funny, and it's genuine funny, then smile. Use the smile sparingly. It's like an antibiotic or a medicine, right? If you constantly use it every day, your body adapts to it and it becomes useless. But if you use it occasionally, then it's useful. A smile is special. But and you keep using it, it's no longer special. So make sure you use it sparingly and at the right times. Alright. And just one more thing with listening. I know this is going on and on, so this is the last thing. This is an additional tip. Your body language. Mirror them. Or just be open. Depends which one's more comfortable for you. Alright? You want to be comfortable when you're networking. People can notice when you're uncomfortable. What does mirroring mean? If they cross their arms, you cross your arms. Don't do it too obviously. Okay, do it subtly. And in fact, this is hardwired into our biology. When you're genuinely interested in somebody, you should mirror them naturally anyways. Okay? So honestly, this is a natural movement. But, sometimes you can push yourself to mirror them a little bit more. And what it shows is that you're listening. It's like your whole body is listening, not just your mind. So, mirroring is a great technique. Or just be open. If you don't feel comfortable just copying some of these moves and you find that kind of annoying for yourself, then just have an open body language, okay? Don't always just cross your arms, right? Or hold one of your arms like this. Is something a lot of people do. It shows nervousness. Don't do that. Be open, right? Be open. Or sometimes you can clasp your hands together. I tend to do that quite a lot just because it makes me look more professional and I feel better when I'm doing it. Whatever feels comfortable, just make sure it's not too closed, right? Not too closed or too nervous. Okay. And a lot of people talk about confidence, but I think confidence is something that you can't feign. It has to come very naturally through repetition. which we are going to talk about later a little bit. But now, speaking, what should you actually say? This is extremely important, and I know this video has gone on for quite a while, but this is very crucial, and it's honestly very simple. First, if you can do this, if you're able to do this, okay, you can just keep doing this one thing for the whole conversation, and it could last for an entire day, and they wouldn't notice. Ask questions. Again, this goes back to genuine interest. When you're interested in them, you want to find out more. And the way to find out more is to ask questions. Most of my conversations is about 10% me speaking and 90% them speaking. Now, this could vary depending on the person. There's some people who just aren't that receptive, and sometimes you have to nudge them along a bit more, but ask questions about them. And when they answer the question, ask them a question about their answer. And once they answer that, then ask another question about it. See, it goes on and on and on. That's why a conversation can go on for so long if you're the one asking questions. And you show genuine interest in them. And you find out about them. Ask questions. That's crucial. But one thing to note here, it's not an interview. It is not an interview. When things become too robotic, right, then problems start there's some problems. So in order to master this, you have to master listening as well. The way you listen and the way you ask the question, which has to be, nice and it fits the occasion. I can't really give you a total answer on exactly how to ask questions because it depends on the person, it depends on the occasion, but make sure it fits the occasion. All right, asking questions, that's crucial. And just a technique here, if you can't think of a question, parrot. This seems like a cheap trick on the surface. Believe me, it does. But it works. It works. I've gone for half-an-hour conversations just parroting. What is that? Remember how I told you when they have an answer, you ask a question about that answer? Well, parroting is like the ultimate version of that. Whatever they say. Okay, blah, 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 yeah, I was at the beach. Where were you? I was at the beach. What is parroting? You just repeat the last few words, or paraphrase them if you're better. Right, if you want to be more advanced, and honestly, I'd recommend that. But you just ask, the beach? I know, it's stupid, it's dumb. But when they say an answer, you repeat the last few words, the beach? And then naturally, what are you going to do? If you heard that, the beach? If you said this, and then they asked the beach, you're going to elaborate more. Oh yeah, I was beach, and there was fish, and birds. And what do you ask? Fish and birds? And then it keeps going on and on and on, and they elaborate. And when they elaborate, plus you show that you're listening, man, that's like an auto friend. You just get a friend automatically from that, because it shows that you care. And people like it when people care. And once you're really good, this is an advanced tip. Okay, you can skip this part if you're, if you feel like you want to practice the stuff above first. And by the way, practice. I think that's just something I don't need to say. But advanced tip, once you get good enough at asking questions, then start sharing a bit of your own. Build some rapport. Some of your own and rapport. And just so you know, additional point here, with the parroting, okay? If you're sick of parroting, and if they say an emotion, right? If they say, oh, I was extremely sad, or they imply that they were sad, what you could do is you could sense the emotion of the situation they're discussing, right? I was at the beach. And then you could label the emotion. What does that mean? What does label the emotion mean? Label the emotion means you sense the emotion and you say it out loud. So you say, I was at the beach. They say, I was at the beach. You say, oh, that seems fun. Just that. So simple. I'm trying to keep it simple, guys. Right? I don't want this to be too complicated, because when it's too complicated, it seems fake. You need to show genuine interest. Just say, that seems fun. And they're like, yeah, totally. And they'll just elaborate again and listen, and then auto-friend. Easy. But anyways, advanced. So, you can start sharing some of your own stories, but make them short. Or rather, I'd say make them concise and interesting. They can go on for a while, actually, if you know the person very well. If it's a stranger, I just go for asking questions, right? And then occasionally share some stories. If you know the person very well, then you can just share a lot of stories. Honestly, I think that most of you, even if you identify as an introvert, you and your friends probably don't act like introverts. You act like introverts to strangers, not to your friends. To your friends, conversation just seems to flow naturally, and then you have like belly laughs and stuff, And you don't have to like listen to something like this in order to do that. So honestly, just treat the other person like your friend. Share some of your own stories. Okay, that's related to what they're saying. It's very important. Relate to what they say. The whole conversation, if I had to give an analogy, the whole conversation is like a thread. Okay? What's easier? Alright, let's say you have to sew some clothes. What's easier? You just use one big thread, or it's like many different threads. This looks less nice, and it's slower. This is better. You want the whole conversation to be one thread. Don't cut it off at anywhere. Once it starts, just let it flow. Okay? And talk about what they're saying. They talk about what you're saying. It's a great back and forth. It's prime human connection. It's hardwired into our biology. Be interested in the person. I know I'm repeating this constantly, but I cannot stress how important that is. If you master this, you're gonna be my teacher. So, okay. And bonus. I promised the bonus. Bonus tip. This is stupid. Okay, this is really stupid. It's worked, but it's worked. This is one of my best tips. But it's a bonus tip because of the way it sounds. Something you can encounter when you're actually trying this out is awkward silence. Sometimes parroting just doesn't seem right. It seems fake. Sometimes there's no emotion to label, and you're just thinking of a way to continue the thread. And he's thinking of it as well. And when you're both thinking, and you guys aren't like best of friends, it's kind of awkward. So at this point, what I like to do to break the awkwardness, okay, to give us more thinking time, because usually after you think for like 5 seconds, then you can think of something. To break this, I just drink some water. I sip water. I sip it, okay? So that I always have a water bottle prepared with me in conversations. And then usually by the end of it, it's completely empty, and I need to go to the bathroom, which is a disadvantage. You have to go to the bathroom because you drink so much water. But it's great because then the thread seems like it's not broken. It's like an illusion that there's no awkward silence. And you can sometimes sense when there's about to be an awkward silence, and you can pick up the water bottle before that, so you skip it altogether. But this is advanced stuff. I should honestly get like a teaching license just because I found this tip. Okay, but just to conclude, right? Remember to have a genuine interest in them. And once you have that, honestly, what's more important than this, however, I'd say, is do it. Bro, I know, it's cliche, but just do it. I can tell you all the tips I know in the world. And you could have a genuine interest in people, but if you don't do it, nothing's gonna happen. So after this video, I want you to go out there as an exercise. You go out there, okay, to school or to your workplace or whatever. Go to some guy that, I know, I'm not going to ask you to go up to a stranger and talk to them because that's like more advanced stuff. I do that a lot, but yeah, it requires some more advanced stuff. But let's say a guy who you don't talk to a lot. You just talk to them once. Okay, but you're not friends by any means. Maybe an acquaintance. Or not even. Somebody, a colleague, another student in your year. Okay. Why don't you just talk? Find something in common and talk to them. You may notice how I didn't talk about specific topics about what to talk about, because it depends on the person. Okay? Something I like to do sometimes is I ask other people, their friends, this person's friends, about what they like, and then I can ask them about it. And start off with something interesting is my tip. I could make a video going into more in depth on specifically what you should say, some specific topics. I could, but you know, I just want to see if you guys like this video first. So please, if you have more tips, and I'm still learning, so if you have more tips, comment down below. I'll reply to it, definitely. And whether it's good or bad, doesn't matter. Like the video and subscribe if you really like this stuff. I hope this helps you, and just do it. Show interest. That's the main things you gotta take away. Alright, see ya.